Welcome back to News 15 today. Well, we are in the middle of a pandemic and many people are still working from home. And of course, many in South Louisiana are dealing with a loss of power and home life. So joining us now is our friend Chris Rader to talk tech this morning. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Carter.
So like I just mentioned, there are a lot of people who are working from home and there's a lot of people who lost power, and we're still getting into the peak of hurricane season, so we're not out of the woods yet. So what are some tips that you have for folks who need to be worried about their information, their data, all of their stuff that got saved?
So the first thing I would, say is make sure that your files are backed up off of your computer or whatever device you're using. Most of us do use the cloud today. So we'll use some terms that may be familiar to our audience, like OneDrive from Microsoft, Google Docs, maybe another, Dropbox, maybe another. And what I mean by these file shares, Carter, is the files live on your computer. Maybe it's a laptop or a desktop and your phone, and they also live in the cloud. So let's just say I lived in an area that was hit by the hurricane and I had the files on my computer, and they were also synced in the cloud. Then if I lost my computer, those files, I would still be able to retrieve those files in the cloud. And I think that's the key message here is don't just put data on your computer and not back it up or have it synced in the cloud, because you're susceptible to losing your data. Not to mention ransomware or other things.
Well, now, kind of talking about the hurricane, and I use Google Docs extensively. I like to have it on my phone, my computer, my laptop, all of those at any point when I need to access it. So that's great tips there, Chris. But as far as the hurricane goes, have you heard anything about, people getting back their internet and things of that nature?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what's happening now, and we'll call it the Lake Charles region in the southwest Louisiana region. If the internet's coming back online, it's online slow, and what people are using is it's something called a MiFi or a hotspot or a modem that runs on cellular towers, because the cellular towers are coming back online, but the infrastructure is not back. We have someone that we work with in the Alexandria region, and they still don't have internet, and they did have a lot of damage from the storm, from trees down, but I wish we would have a way to determine when the internet's going to come back on for some of these locations. That would be great use for the businesses and for personal use also. But to answer your question, people are mostly using cellular towers in the most affected areas.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, we use MiFis whenever we need to send back some of our work outside in the field.
So, can we talk about the protection real quick here?
Sure.
By using Google Docs or Microsoft OneDrive or others, by having more than 1, 2, 3 days, like typically 30 days of backups, if your files get encrypted and you recognize it right away, you'll be able to restore those backups. And that's also important, because the last thing you want to do is say, hey, I've got my data backed up, but then get ransomware or something and your files are encrypted, because then you've lost all your data. So it defeated the purpose of you backing it up. And the same thing would be true of something like Apple iCloud also.
Sure.
And there's one more feature, if we have time, is the great thing I like about Google Docs and the OneDrive is if you're taking pictures of receipts during the storm, because you're going to lose them because you have stuff spread out everywhere or after the storm, you can actually take a picture of a receipt and store it actually in Google Docs or OneDrive from your screen on your phone, which is phenomenal.
That is extremely nifty. Chris, we appreciate all these tips and you joining us this week for Tech Talk. We'll talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Carter.
All righty, guys, all that information